Yo, and welcome to Shooting the Soil, the channel where we shoot the soil with a camera through the microscope to explore regenerative soil science and use those practices in the garden. Today we're out from under the microscope and we're going to give you a tour of the garden. Let's go see what's growing on. Alright, so here we are. It is July, growing zone 6 in Massachusetts. Over here, we just have a wild bed. Just been taming the weeds back slightly. Got some cucumbers and some beans growing in there. But deer have eaten the beans back pretty well. And the cucumbers. And it was hard to get any cucumbers growing because we had a drought in May and then a super wet June. So we had all sorts of slugs that just eating stuff away. But anyway, we got some corn. Over here we're actually doing a little Three Sisters thing. And we already got some beans coming up with the corn. Just a miniature Three Sisters little experiment. We got the chives over here, not looking the healthiest, but there's plenty of nice shoots in there. Gotta love chives. Only take a square foot of space, and they produce all year long, or the whole growing season. Alright, moving on, we got a bunch of Simpson lettuce over there that's doing really well, but the Mizuna and everything else are pretty much just going to seed, so maybe we'll get a fall harvest out of that. Alright. And deer have been eating all the squash, so we need to get this whole area fenced in, but we've expanded the fence a little bit and we set up an electric fence. Alright, headed into the fenced off area, and we got our pawpaw. Not doing so great, but we got another one coming up and some really healthy ones inside. Over here there was a giant bush that we cut back to open up the space for the elderberry. That's why it's hanging way over here on the side. And moving on, we just got these beds going wild. We put some flowers in there, but they are having plants put down exudates, making the soil better for next year. And we got a blue daisy. Planted a couple of daisies in there. And we got some sunflowers finally starting to grow. But yep, next year we plan on turning this into part of our food garden. And our tomatoes are doing pretty good. They're already up to the top of the trellis, and hopefully they'll actually grow out and cover this trellis this year. They're doing much better than last year. And then we got another bed that we're going to set up for next year, and I think we're going to do some sweet potatoes in this bed, but we still got to fill that with soil, get a cover crop down for winter, and then next year it'll be ready to go. Alright. And the best thing we got going in the garden right now is our peas, our sweet peas. They are just blowing up, and they taste so good right off the vine. And yep, they're just growing in a pretty wild garden. But they seem to really like it. We also have a sweet potato growing there. Hopefully we'll get a few small potatoes and plant them over there next year. Strawberries did pretty good. Here, I'll show you a shot from June of our strawberries. They came out delicious, but deer came in here and munched them pretty good before we put up the electric fence. And here we'll show you our wildflowers. The wildflower bed is doing awesome this year. Very happy with them. And now moving on to this bed. Yeah, so this bed needs some work. We're going to try to add a little bit, but I think next year it really needs a heavy dosing of compost, maybe some biochar to fix up this soil. And we got to do some microscopy, figure out why everything is doing okay, but just not great. Well, main thing is deer chomped all our purple bumblebee tomatoes, but they're kind of bouncing back. I think the season and the climate's adapting to what it should be, and things are starting to grow a little bit more, but this bed can definitely need some work. I'm not sure it got taken over by Japanese bittersweet, and it was growing roots all through this bed, which I think might be part of the problem. But here's our beans, our dragon beans, dragon ton beans. This one got chomped by the deer and just not bouncing back. And the others are just kind of small, but we got some new ones coming up, so hopefully these will grow nice and strong. And we can work a little magic. I'm going to put a little bokashi on here. I'm going to put a little EM from Terraganics. Maybe do a compost extract and see if we can get this going this season. I got faith. Pepper's not awful, but just small. But a lot of people have been having the same problem with our drought in June. I mean, our drought in May, and then a really wet June. Everything's off to a slow start. Our walking onions, again, just slowly getting by. But hopefully we'll get them to spread around. All right, and that's the bed. Leave any comments or any suggestions you got for me. Always happy to hear the comments and let me know what you guys think, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have as well. Alright, so that wraps up the garden. Got a leaf pile making some leaf mold, and our Johnson Sioux compost bioreactor. And moving on to the big project that I want to share with you that we started this year. So over here we got our disc golf course. There's T-pad 1 and basket. But we want to turn this whole area into a food forest. So we've started off a little bit with a couple of things. We made this little pond over here, and we got a little fountain and the shishi odoshi. And we planted some wild thyme, and got some agastache growing around the pond, and just growing wild. Yeah, fix the shadow. We got some self-heal over here. That's kind of a cool plant to just have sprout up all by itself. And right behind, we got black raspberries. I almost forgot to mention our ostrich ferns. They're the edible type. Make fiddleheads in the spring. So hopefully we'll have some black raspberries probably by next year through here. Alright, then we got some wild blueberries. Let me see if I can give you a look at some. It's hard fighting the birds for these because we don't have a net over them, but we're getting a good amount of blueberries. Look at all the blueberries we have on this other bush over here. Quite a few berries for... Didn't plant this, just growing here wild. And then we'll come over here. Over here we have some red raspberries. I just snagged these from the property. A bunch of them were growing right on my laneway over here, so they would just have to be cut back anyway. So transplanted them where they'll have a nice long home. And we're already getting berries. Alright, so that's what we got planning for food. We have some haskellapes on order that I'm excited for. Want to get some mulberries and a couple other things back here. But we also have a hickory that we planted right here. Get some native North American tree species in here. And over here in the shade, we have some wild ginger. And what I'm really excited about up over here is an American chestnut that does not seem to be affected, or its mother was not affected by Dutch elm disease. So I'm really stoked to have an American chestnut on the property. Alright, so that's it for our July tour of the garden. Definitely check out my channel for some microscopy and the videos where we dive into the soil with the microscope. And stay tuned for more. Hit that like and subscribe if you would be so kind, and we'll catch you on the next one.